Welcome back to Cool Classics. All right, here we go. Hogan's Heroes. Yeah, just watched another episode and had to dig into the vehicles of the show. What were they? How many were there? Well, it seems that there were 4 different ones. Occasionally, when a visitor to Stalag 13 arrived, they would show up in a 1933 Horch 830 sedan. Founded in 1899, Horch was a predecessor to today's Audi brand. In 1932, Horch merged with Audi, DKW, and Wanderer to form Auto Union, with Horch as the prestige brand of the group. Unusual for a pre-war European car, the 830 had a V8 engine. The 3.0-liter V8 put out 68 horsepower and gave a top speed of around 70 miles per hour. More powerful still were the Auto Union's race cars that challenged Mercedes for dominance of the Grand Prix racing in the late 30s. Now, the second most used car on the show was Colonel Klink's personal vehicle. He was often driven around in a 1938 Mercedes-Benz 230 W143 Pullman Limousine. The 230 was a 6-cylinder version of the 4-cylinder 170 series that Mercedes introduced to expand downward into the medium-priced market in 1931. Both series were advanced for their time with independent suspension front and rear. More typical for the pre-war years was the 230's 2.3-liter side valve 6, which developed 55 horsepower. Klink's car wasn't as grand as the rest of the German top brass, but it would have been a comfortable car to get to and from Stalag 13. Now, the third car you'll see on the show goes to another one of my favorite characters, Major Hochstetter. When he showed up, he popped up in a Volkswagen Type 82 Kubelwagen, which meant bucket car in German. So Germany's answer to the Jeep was the Kubelwagen. These Volkswagen Type 82s were a common sight around German military installations. The Kubelwagen was based on Hitler's people car that eventually became the Volkswagen Beetle. The invasion of Poland ended civilian VW production before it could really get started, and the factory was used for making war materials, including the Kubelwagen. The vehicle was powered by VW's air-cooled 4-cylinder engine, which initially displaced 985 cc and made 23.5 horsepower, but it was later raised to 1,131 cc and 25 horsepower. The rear-mounted power plant aided traction in rough terrain, and the Kubelwagen added limited slip differential that helped make up for the lack of four-wheel drive. There was also an amphibious version called the Schwimmwagen. The Kubelwagen was reborn as a Western German military vehicle in 1969, and a civilian version was sold in the US from 1972 to 1975, known as the Volkswagen Thing. Alright, now the fourth car is perhaps the most unusual of the Hogan's Heroes motor pool. It was an intimidating 1938 Mercedes-Benz G4 with dual rear axles that is seen in the show's opening credits and often taxied around General Burkhalter, played by Leon Askin. I made a video on him, you should really check that out. The G4 W31 series was built as an off-road staff car, although it seems to have seen most of its use as a parade car. Both rear axles had self-locking differentials for better traction off-road, but the forward rear axle was not powered. The engine was a 110 horsepower 5.4-liter overhead valve straight 8 that was similar to the engine in the Mercedes flamboyant 540K sports car, but minus the 540K supercharger. This thing was a beast. It had off-road tires and a curb weight of more than 8,000 pounds, which limited its top speed to 42 miles an hour. But hey, you weren't chasing anybody in this thing. You were the show. The G4 had a 159-inch wheelbase, and most seemed to have been a 7-passenger touring car, although there was also a sedan version offered. Only a total of 57 G4s were built between 1934 and 1939. This is one rare car. Of the 57 originally produced, only 3 are known to have survived the war and still exist in original form. One of them is preserved at the Seinsheim Auto Museum in Seinsheim, Germany. Another is on display at the historic auto attractions in Roscoe, Illinois. The third one, in all original condition, is in the possession of Hollywood and appears in many war movies, but it's looked after very carefully. There is a fourth one. It is in the car collection of the Spanish royal family. It was restored by the Mercedes-Benz Classic Center in Germany on behalf of Mercedes-Benz, so it's not technically all original. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please think about subscribing. I could use the support. I'm a big fan of Hogan's Heroes, and I'm trying to keep going here. I got a couple videos up above you can click on. Cool classics. I'll be back with more.